I stepped outside, ready to head to work, but something felt off. My car wasn't there. I looked around, thinking maybe I parked it somewhere else, but no, it was gone. I rushed back inside and asked my husband where it was. He didn't even look up from his phone. He just said, "Oh, I let Kevin borrow it. He needed it more than you." I stood there in shock. He didn't ask me. He didn't even tell me. He just gave it away like it was nothing. My car, fully paid off, insured under my name, just handed over like a slice of pizza. I asked when Kevin was bringing it back. My husband gave this half-hearted shrug and said, "I don't think he is. He doesn't have a car. He'll probably keep it." Like it wasn't a big deal. Like I was crazy for being upset. Kevin is his cousin, the kind of guy who always has some story about why he can't get a job or pay rent. He's crashed 2 cars before. One was his, the other wasn't. He eats other people's food, uses their stuff, and never says thank you. But somehow, my husband always defends him. I told my husband that he had no right to give away my car. He said I didn't need it, that I work from home, and Kevin needed it more. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He had no problem giving away something of mine. But if I even touched anything in his precious garage, he'd lose his mind. That's when it clicked. He didn't see it as a big deal because it wasn't his. He never respected that it was mine. And if he could give away something I cared about without asking, then maybe he should learn how it feels. So I smiled, said nothing more, and walked upstairs. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just started planning. Because if he thought it was okay to hand over my car to his useless cousin, then he was about to find out what it feels like when someone touches something he cares about. And believe me, I knew exactly what that was. Kevin has always been a problem, but my husband refuses to see it. He calls him family, but to me, Kevin is just a burden. He never works. He always has some excuse. One week it's a back injury, the next it's that the job market is too tough. But somehow, he always finds a way to show up at our place with a new story and empty hands. He's at our house more than some of our friends. He comes in, opens the fridge without asking, and grabs whatever he wants. He eats like we're running a free kitchen. If he's not eating, he's on our couch, using the Wi-Fi, watching our Netflix, draining our electricity. And every time I say something, my husband shuts it down. He's just going through a rough patch, he says. He's family. We help family. That's all I ever hear. But I don't see Kevin helping it. I see him taking, always taking. He borrows tools from the garage and never brings them back. Once, he broke my husband's drill and just laughed it off. Another time, he left the shed unlocked and some things were stolen. He never takes responsibility. And still, my husband just lets it go. Kevin had 2 cars before. He totaled one by driving drunk. The other one he lent to someone for money, and it never came back. Since then, he's been walking or begging for rides. And lately, he's been eyeing my car. At first, I thought I was being paranoid, but then I noticed him asking little questions like, "What year is this one?" Or, "You take good care of it, huh?" He even asked once, "You ever think about trading it in?" Like he was hinting at something. When my husband gave him my car, it all made sense. Kevin had been working on this for a while, playing the victim, making himself seem helpless, and my husband fell for it, just like he always does. But I didn't. I started paying attention, watching Kevin closely, noticing what he touched, what he said, how often he was around. I started writing things down, dates, times, things he borrowed, things that went missing. I knew I'd need it, because if they thought I was just going to sit back and let this happen, they were wrong. Kevin may be good at using people, but I've had enough. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to plan. And Kevin, he wasn't going to see it coming. If there's one thing my husband truly cares about, it's his garage. Not me, not my things, not even our home. Just that garage. He spends hours in there every week. It's his favorite place. He calls it his zone and doesn't let anyone mess with it. I'm not even allowed to step in there without asking. He keeps it locked like it's some kind of treasure chest. Inside, he has shelves full of expensive tools. Some of them he's never even used, but he still buys more. He says each one is important. There's a big toolbox he cleans more than he cleans our kitchen. He lines up everything in order. Wrenches, drills, screwdrivers, all shiny and spotless. He has a system. If anything moves even an inch, he notices. He also has this wall filled with signs, posters, and little decorations he calls garage art. Some of them are signed by old racers or celebrities. He even put up LED lights to make it look cooler. There's a mini fridge stocked with beers, a small TV mounted in the corner. and speakers for his music. He doesn't care if the living room is quiet, but if one of the garage speakers isn't working, he's fixing it right away. Every time he gets a little extra money, he spends it there. A new part, a new tool, a gadget he doesn't really need but just wants. I used to think it was harmless. Everyone needs a hobby, but now I see it differently. He puts so much time and energy into that place, while treating my things like they don't matter. He gave away my car without a thought, but if I even joked about moving something in his garage, he'd act like I'd committed a crime. That garage is his world. It's the one place he treats with care. It's where he hides when he's upset, where he goes to drink and feel in control. I once walked in just to hand him a snack, and he asked me not to touch anything, like I didn't belong in there. He didn't care about giving away my car. He didn't ask. He didn't apologize. He just expected me to accept it. But standing there thinking about everything he loved in that garage, I knew what I had to do. If he thought it was okay to take something of mine, then maybe he needed to feel what that was like. I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to fight. I just had to wait for the right moment, because when I hit back, I was going to hit him where it really hurt. I tried to stay calm. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to talk. So I sat him down at the kitchen table and asked him why he gave my car away without telling me. I wanted him to understand how wrong it was. I wanted him to admit that he crossed a line, but the look on his face told me everything. He wasn't sorry. He leaned back in his chair, almost smiling, and said, I was overreacting, just like that. No apology, no guilt, just those words. It's just a car, he said. Kevin needed it more than you do. He said it like it was the most normal thing in the world, like giving away something I owned without permission was no big deal. I tried again. I asked why it had to be my car. Why not help Kevin in some other way? He shrugged and said, you work from home. You don't even drive it that much. That made my stomach turn. It wasn't about how often I drove it. It was about the fact that it was mine, something I paid for, something I took care of, something that belonged to me. Not him, not Kevin, me. The way he said it, like I didn't deserve to keep it because I worked from home, made me feel small, like I didn't matter, like my needs weren't real. He didn't care about how I felt. He didn't care that he broke my trust. He just wanted to defend what he did. I looked at him, sitting there so sure of himself, and I realized something. He didn't see me as his partner. He didn't treat me like someone with equal say in our home. He treated me like I was just there to make things easier for him. I cooked, cleaned, worked quietly, and stayed out of his way. And now, in his eyes, I didn't even need a car, because I didn't leave the house much. He figured I didn't deserve to keep what was mine. That moment changed everything for me. I stopped hoping he'd understand. I stopped waiting for an apology. I knew it would never come. He didn't think he did anything wrong. He thought it was his right to make decisions for both of us. And that's when I knew I couldn't trust him anymore. He gave away my car like it meant nothing. So I stopped looking for fairness. I stopped trying to explain. I started thinking about what he cared about most. I didn't say anything else. I just stood up from the table and walked away, already making my plan. I didn't rush into anything. I took my time and made sure I did it right. First, I checked the house papers. I wanted to be sure before I made any moves. The house was in both our names. That meant the garage was mine just as much as his. He always acted like it was only his, but legally, I had every right to it too. That gave me the confidence I needed. He had a fishing trip coming up. Every year he went with his friends for the weekend. It was his favorite thing, and he'd been talking about it for weeks. I didn't say much. I let him go like everything was normal. As soon as he left, I started going through the garage. I took pictures of everything. Tools, machines, boxes of gear, even the little signs he hung on the walls. Then I started posting. I didn't try to make money. I wasn't looking to profit. I just wanted it gone. So I listed everything online for free. People started messaging me right away. Some were young mechanics who couldn't afford tools. Some were single parents needing equipment for work. A few just wanted something to help them get started. I gave everything to people who needed it more than my husband ever did. I planned a small garage sale too. I put up a simple sign and opened the doors. I let people walk through and take what they could use. They were grateful, kind, and respectful. No one asked questions. They just saw the items and smiled like they'd found something they'd been needing for a long time. In just 2 days, everything was gone. The expensive tool sets, the air compressor, the signed pictures, every single piece. The garage went from being packed to almost empty. A few old boxes and dusty shelves were all that remained. I didn't keep a single thing, not one screw, not one wrench. I didn't feel bad, not for a second. He had taken something of mine without a second thought. Now I had taken something of his, but I didn't do it to hurt him. I did it to make a point. He thought my car was just an object, so I treated his garage the same way. By the time he came back from his trip, the garage was quiet and bare. The sound of that empty space said everything I needed it to, and I was ready for whatever happened next. He walked into the house like everything was normal. He looked happy from his trip, smiling, carrying his bag, ready to relax. I stayed in the living room, calm and quiet. I didn't say anything. I waited. He headed straight for the garage like he always did. I watched him open the door. The second he stepped inside, he froze. There was no noise, no sound of tools, no music playing, just silence. A big, cold silence. His eyes went wide. He looked around, turning slowly, trying to understand what he was seeing, or what he wasn't seeing. He rushed back into the house, face red, hands shaking. "Where's my stuff?" he yelled. "Where did everything go?" I didn't yell back. I didn't look scared. I just stood up and handed him a folder. Inside were printed screenshots of his own messages. Every time he said, "What's yours is mine." Every time he said, "Kevin needed my car more than I did." All the proof in black and white. He opened it and read through a few pages, confused at first. Then he looked up at me. I met his eyes and said, I took it to heart. He didn't say anything right away, just stood there, holding the folder, his mouth slightly open. I could see it in his face. The moment it all clicked, he understood what I had done, and more importantly, why I had done it. He started asking questions, fast and angry. Who did I give it to? Why didn't I talk to him first? How could I do this to him? I didn't answer those questions. I just repeated the same line he gave me. It's just stuff. You don't need it as much as someone else does. He stared at me, like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he thought I'd never stand up for myself. But now, standing there with that empty garage behind him, he finally saw me for who I really was, and I was done being quiet. A few days after the garage was emptied, Kevin showed up at our house. He pulled into the driveway in my car, smiling like nothing had happened. He didn't ask if it was okay to be there. He didn't say thank you. He just waved and said, "Nice ride, right?" Like it belonged to him now. He got out wearing sunglasses, acting like he had just won the lottery. My husband didn't say a word. He just stood there, awkward and silent. I knew he was embarrassed, but it was too late for that. Kevin had what he wanted, and he didn't care who he stepped on to get it. I walked into the living room and grabbed my phone. I opened a group chat that included Kevin, my husband, and a few of their family members. In that chat, Kevin had written a message just days before. "Man, getting her car was too easy. LOL. She didn't even see it coming." I took a screenshot and sent it to the rest of the family. I didn't add any words. I didn't have to. That message said it all. The replies started rolling in. My husband's sister was the first. She was shocked. Then his cousin. Then his aunt. And finally, his parents. They were furious. His mum even called me and said she was sorry for what happened. She said she had no idea Kevin had said something like that. I believed her. Soon, everyone started turning on my husband. They said he should have never given my car away, especially to someone like Kevin. They told him he embarrassed the whole family. They said they were ashamed. I didn't enjoy watching it, but part of me felt like justice was finally being served. And then, not even a week later, the car was wrecked. Kevin had taken it on some long trip and lost control. He crashed it into a fence. The front was smashed, and the engine was damaged. The worst part, he didn't have insurance. He didn't even have a valid license. He walked away fine, of course, but the car was done. Suddenly everyone was looking at me again, but this time with respect. I was the one who had worked hard, paid for that car, and kept it in good shape. Kevin had it for less than a week and ruined it. My husband looked even worse now. He had nothing left to defend. Not the car, not Kevin, not himself. I didn't say, "I told you so." I didn't need to. They all knew. After everything that happened, my husband still didn't get it. He didn't say sorry. He didn't ask how I felt. Instead, he got angry. He said I owed him for all the stuff I gave away. He stood in the middle of the kitchen, waving his arms and yelling about how much the tools cost and how hard he worked for them. Then he told me I had 1 week to pay him back. I couldn't help but laugh. Not a fake laugh, a real one. I looked him in the eye and said, "You gave away my car. Remember?" He didn't like that. He started shouting louder, saying the garage was his space and I had no right to touch it. That's when he said the words I'd been waiting for. Maybe we should just get a divorce. I didn't even flinch. I said, okay, and walked straight into our bedroom. I started packing. He stood at the door, stunned, as I folded clothes and zipped up bags. He thought I'd beg. He thought I'd cry. I didn't. I was calm. I was done. Later that night, I sat at my laptop and went through our bank record. I wanted to see what was left in our joint account, but something didn't look right. The numbers were lower than I remembered, much lower. I started digging, month by month, transaction by transaction. Then I saw it. Small amounts at first, but slowly they grew. Payments to online shops, tool websites, and random stores I'd never heard of. Thousands gone, and they weren't for us. They were for him. He had been moving money into a separate account for months, buying things for his garage, stuff he told me we couldn't afford. I took screenshots, I printed receipts, I saved everything. Every little lie, every small withdrawal, every message that showed what he was doing. I wasn't just angry, I was ready. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I explained everything, showed her the files, and asked what I needed to do. She said I was smart to gather proof. She said I had a strong case. He had no idea what was coming. He thought I would break. Instead, I built a wall of facts and truth around me. He wanted a fight, and now he had one. Only this time I wasn't playing nice. Once things were clear between us and I had everything in order, I decided to do something for myself. I didn't want to feel angry anymore. I didn't want to keep thinking about what he took from me. So I bought a new car, a better one. It was shiny, smooth, and much nicer than the last. I paid for it in full, with my own money, and put it under my name only. No one else could touch it. It was mine. After that, I went through the leftover junk from the garage. Most of it had no use. But there was one thing that caught my eye. A big wooden sign. It had his name carved in bold letters, something like Mark's Garage, that he used to hang over the workbench. He loved that thing. Always told people it made the garage official. Now it meant nothing. I took that sign, cleaned off the dust, and dropped it off at Goodwill. I didn't want it in my home. Let someone else find it and use it for firewood or a joke. I smiled as I walked out of the store, leaving it behind forever. But I wasn't done. There was one last thing I wanted to do, not out of hate, but because it felt right. I found a $5 gift card sitting in a drawer. I put it in an envelope and wrote a small note to go with it. It said, "Here's your cut." That was it. Short, simple, and straight to the point. I mailed it to him. I didn't care what he thought when he got it. Maybe he'd laugh. Maybe he'd get mad. Either way, I didn't want anything else from him. Word started spreading fast. His friends, especially the ones who used to hang out in the garage, stopped coming around. They didn't call him. They didn't visit. Maybe they didn't want to be part of the drama. Or maybe they saw who he really was. Whatever the reason, he was left alone. People started calling him names behind his back. The one that stuck the most was the guy who got garaged. I heard it from someone at the store one day, and I couldn't stop smiling. It followed him everywhere. He lost more than tools. He lost respect, pride, and people who used to be on his side. And me? I had peace. After the divorce, life felt different in the best way. The house was quiet, but not in a sad way. It was peaceful. I could walk into any room and feel relaxed. No more tiptoeing around someone else's moods. No more arguments. No more waiting for him to grow up or change. Everything was finally calm. I got used to living on my own. I learned to enjoy it. I went out when I wanted, ate what I liked, and didn't answer to anyone. I even started trying new things, like painting and weekend road trips. The stress that used to hang over me was gone. I could breathe. Sometimes, when I'd go out with friends or meet new people, I'd share the story. It always started the same way. My husband gave away my car. The room would go quiet, and then I'd tell them the rest. The garage, the sale, the look on his face. People laughed, some gasped, others clapped. They always said the same thing in the end. He deserved it. I never told the story to feel proud. I told it because it showed something important. I wasn't weak. For a long time, I let things slide. I stayed quiet. I tried to be patient, but that didn't mean I couldn't stand up for myself. When I finally did, I made sure it counted. I didn't fight with yelling or tears. I fought with actions, clear, calm, and planned. That's what made it work. He thought I'd always be the quiet one, the one who stayed and forgave everything. But I was just waiting for the moment I knew I'd had enough. And when that moment came, I didn't just leave. I showed him exactly how it felt to be treated like nothing. Now, every time I see someone rev their engine or show off their fancy car, I smile a little. Not because I miss mine. I don't. I have something better now. It's the feeling of knowing I made it through. Stronger, smarter, and free. He lost more than a garage. He lost someone who was loyal, kind, and patient. And I lost someone who never truly valued me. In the end, I didn't just get revenge. I got my peace. And I don't regret a thing.